So this is my sluice. Now the sluice I just showed you, that I borrowed from a friend because that's the most popular kind of sluice, and odds are that's what you're going to have or what you're going to be able to buy locally. This one is a regular sluice body. I could have used that sluice body down there, the aluminum part that wraps around the mat. But in the bottom, instead of having miner's moss, carpet, screen, and riffles, here we just have one piece of matting that does jobs of all four at once. And that's what makes this so great. You pull the matting out like this. If you look at it sideways, you can see here's a big riffle. This does the same job as that riffle did down there. Here's some V matting. Here's some smaller riffles, a different shape of riffle, a flat spot, and then a bunch of these short channels that gold gets trapped in. Between all of these, they catch a wide variety of gold, and they are supposed to, if you believe their website, catch more gold than any other sluice on the market. Now, I can't testify to that, but I do believe that this is the best sluice I've ever used. There are many things I like about this matting. For one thing, it traps a lot more gold than most sluices do. And I've tested that myself by putting a regular sluice underneath this sluice, so it runs through here and into that other sluice. The second sluice caught practically nothing. This one caught a bunch of gold. So I know it's catching more gold than most sluices do. Secondly, cleanup is really easy. You'll see that a little bit later once I run some gold through here. And finally, this matting is more forgiving than regular sluices. That means that you can have it at a higher angle, a lower angle, faster or slower water, more or less water, and it'll do a much better job at a wide range of flows, tilts, and everything else than a regular sluice will. That means that you can use it places that you couldn't use a regular sluice, and that means that you can sluice in more places, and that opens up more gold fields to you. This matting is held in place by a little piece of metal that you bend up, and you put this mat up underneath it. Their website shows you how to build one of these. So now it's clamped on. Here we have a natural rapids here that's already formed a nice drop in the water flow for us. So I can just actually drop this sluice right down into here and it'll start running. Just like the other sluice, we want about an inch of flow, but unlike the other sluice, we're a lot more forgiving. So if we have an inch and a half or 2 inches or half an inch, it'll still work. But just like before, the way to tell is to drop some dirt up in here and watch it clear out. More. Now you'll notice this sluice has a flare up here. That's nice if you can get it on your sluice. A lot of times it'll just be a bent piece of metal back, and that doesn't do nearly the job this will, because the idea is that if you have less flow, you trap extra water coming through here, channel it in, and speed up your flow that way so you can use it in a slower creek. Now you can watch that clear out. Takes a little bit of time because this is not really an ideal spot. To make this work right, I need to have a better dam. But as long as it clears out a spot up here, if it doesn't get a spot back in here, it's really okay on this kind of sluice because it's going to run over here and it's going to run down to here just like the other one did. This one doesn't get dirt trapped as often. So it takes an awful lot of dirt running through here to clog it up so badly that it won't work. So I can put 2 or 3 of these in there at once. And just let it run for a minute, and it won't hurt this sluice most of the time, especially when it's running this slowly. So I've been running it for a few minutes so it would get pretty well full. And this is how it looks like when it's full. You dump dirt in there, all these things roll off the top, but if they're heavy, they're going to get stuck right here, or right here. If they're really heavy, like a gold nugget, it's going to stick right here before it climbs up this ramp, or at most right after it. Now this top isn't cleaning out right because the way the flow is in this creek, it's not really flowing down here. And so it makes a turbulence here that makes a dead spot right there in the middle. So that really doesn't hurt this sluice any. Just work around it, put some over here, put some over here. And this sluice can usually take it about as fast as you can give it the dirt. With a scoop this size anyway. And that's why I said this is a very forgiving sluice, and that's why I like it, because you need a sluice that's forgiving. It needs to work for you, not you for it. I can run this sluice all day long, and it will fill up with gold in the bottom, in these deep crevices right up in here, and you'll not lose anything. And that's the nice thing about a sluice like this. And at the end of the day, it saves less dirt than the other one does. more gold and less junk. Now another important thing to know about using sluices is when you get down to the bottom of the bucket, it's really hard to get the last little bit out of there. And you don't want to go scooping up a couple of gallons of water and just pouring it in here like this, because you'll mess up your flow and you could dislodge gold that got stuck there and wash it downstream and lose it. So take a scoop, rinse the sides, push it around so it's in one spot on the bottom like that, and with the bucket pointing upstream, gently start losing some water. When you've lost it all, without making a big turbulence there, take a scoop and throw it up there like that. When it comes back down, it's going to bring a small splash of water and the last of that dirt, and you have a completely clean bucket that way. It's a handy trick. Now before you clean this sluice out, or any sluice for that matter, you need to give it 2 to 5 minutes to set here and clear. Otherwise you're going to have extra dirt in there that the sluice would have gotten rid of if you'd given a little bit more time to do right. Right now we have this little puddle here, and ordinarily you never ever want your fingers to be in this sluice. If your fingers are in there, then it's going to make a current around there, and that's going to dislodge gold that's right underneath you, and make a pocket behind you. And when you take your finger away from it, that pocket disappears. It's just bad. Never put your fingers in there. Exception to that. Above this first riffle, it's okay to mess around in here a little bit because this isn't really intended to trap gold anyway. And so sometimes if you have a clog because a couple of rocks got stuck there that just didn't want to wash away, I'll grab it and pull upstream just to loosen them up so that they can wash away. And now that's gone. Now let it run for another minute or so to get clean, and then we'll clean it out. So just like before, pick up the bottom of the sluice, put it inside a bucket, lean it up, and drop it in there. Now take this thing apart, pull your matting out from inside of it, like that. And now the tricky bit. You want to roll this up with the inside facing out. That way you're going to expand your riffles, and you're not going to pinch gold and stuff in there so it'll come out easier. But you need to do that without risking dropping gold inside the creek. So if you're smart, you'll go up on the bank someplace where this is safe and not take a chance on it. I'm not going to do it that way because I don't want to carry it up there, and I want to do it right here. So I'm going to try to roll it up on top of the sluice, and so far as I know, I've never lost anything significant. Of course, how would I know? Anyway, this is how I do it, not necessarily how you should do it. Pull this down, drop it in there, and just like before, gently pour all the way down here, including your assay mat. And I should mention here that this assay mat I made myself, and I'll show you how to do that in another video where we talk about making sluices. All assay mat basically works the same though, so it doesn't much matter at this point. So set that aside. And here is what makes this sluice so awesome. You grab it, pull this out, shake, and it's clean. You've got all the gold out of there. Now 4 different parts to wash, 1 thing to rinse, buckets full of water, you rinse it out, it's gone. And so that's 5 minutes saved. Now you're back in here, put that back together, and your sluice is ready to work again. That's awesome. Now, second great thing, pour off the excess water. Now you remember from earlier, we had this much dirt in the bottom of our pan. This is 1 inch. This is the dirt we just got out of this pan. If I settle it down there, I might have 1/4 of an inch of dirt in the bottom of here. Not even enough to come up to the first small riffle here. So probably about 25% of that dirt was saved in this one. But it's a much higher percentage of good stuff. This is a lot heavier, there's a lot more black sand in here than there is in there. That has a lot of lighter stuff that just didn't have the power to wash away. This is much more selective and did a better job. And in the long run, that's going to save you some time when you go to clean out your concentrates. Incidentally, gold miners tend to call these concentrates cons for short. So you'll sound cool if you use words like that. So there's the difference between your 2 pans. This is what came out of a regular sluice. This is what came out of the gold hog matting. I like this one a lot better because I have a lot less work to do when it goes to cleaning out my cons later. So that's about all you need to know about sluicing for right now. We'll cover a few more things later as we go along. But for right now, this will get you working in the creek and get you finding some gold.